Hey guys, this is Caspi with Tape, and today you join me on the launch pad, and today we're heading somewhere rather different from anywhere else we've been before, unless you've watched the live stream in which I actually recorded this. We're going to Sarnus, one of the planets in the Outer Planets mod. I've done a video outlining the Outer Planets mod before, and I think it's great, because I've been to all the planets, and they're all awesome, and I like going back, and I like going to all the Easter eggs. I've been to, well, most of the ones on Jewel and stuff. But yeah, today I thought I'd go somewhere different. Although this isn't actually today. This was, like I said, a live stream I've been doing. I've been doing lots of live streams where I go to the other planets, and I'm just going to turn that into an edited series on YouTube, because more content. But anyway, let's separate our boosters there. This is, well, I actually originally designed this to be a bit like an Atlas V, but it was a little short and stubby for that, and it did use 6 boosters instead of the 5 that the New Horizons used. And this spacecraft is called Even Newer Horizons, of course, because way newer than freaking New Horizons, although actually not really. I guess if we're going to Saturn, that's old Horizons, just basic Horizons, you know. But yeah, this is just my first little mission, just to hopefully, well, fly by. Well, not fly by Sarnus, because I cannot fly by things. Well, that sounded weird. I have the ability to get into orbit of things first time, because it's a much smaller solar system, and I've played this game a lot. So yeah, we're gonna pretty much just try and get into orbit of one of the moons of Sarnus, because it has some really cool ones. Sarnus, if you don't know, is the analog of Saturn, so it does indeed have some rings. But yeah, this launch vehicle's performing better than expected. It's actually going all the way to orbit with its first stage, because it had so many boosters, and the first stage is pretty good. I'm using mainly KW rocketry parts for this. That's why I have the orange tank, those Wildcat engines at the bottom. I'm in a custom cluster I built. Custom cluster. That doesn't rhyme. Alliteration, that's what I was going for. And the top stage and top engine, and interstage, and Ullage motors to separate the stage are all just KW rocketry, because KW rocketry has to be one of my favourite mods ever, because it just adds so many nice little engines and big engines. There's like Saturn V style stuff, although not really. It's 5-meter parts instead of 10-meter that the real Saturn V was, roughly. But we are going to move on to a little bit of that, probably maybe an episode from now, maybe a couple of episodes from now. I've pretty much got like at least 3 episodes recorded, because I just backlog my streams, although slightly lower quality, because I have to stream this, and my computer's all like, I don't want to do that, and I'm like, you gotta do that. It's like, well, I'm not doing it at 1080p, and I'm like, okay. So, yeah. That's how I talk to my computer. Anywho, what was I saying before I just started talking about random crap? Something about... Oh yeah, I actually do have some Saturn V style vehicles that I'm going to use. So yeah, but anyway, before we get on to that, we have to circularize our orbit and head on to Sarnus and things. I actually haven't sped up this. This isn't a super edited series, actually. I mean, getting to Sarnus took ages, so that's all edited. But actually around Sarnus, it's just what I saw, because I thought it's quite nice, and because it's new stuff. And I mean, obviously some of you will have seen it and played it and things, but there's a good deal of people who won't have really seen this before, or may have just seen it in a live stream and would like to take it all in and just see the new stuff. It's like the first time you go to Jewel, you don't just buzz past and be like, yep, that was cool. You're like, wow, look at that. Oh, look at Lathe. Oh my god, look at the big one. I've forgotten its name. What is it? Tylo, which is rather large. Anyway, yeah, as I said, we're actually about to get into orbit with our first stage alone, which is rather impressive. Although it was way overbuilt. I have gotten quite into overbuilding my rockets. Not in a big asparagus stage way, which is the standard KSP overbuild, where you just keep building outwards until it's the ultimate vehicle. I don't really like doing that, firstly because lag, secondly because complication causes problems and explosions, even though that's kind of fun. But I had a load of explosions anyway, and some stuff which might be in future videos. But I like overbuilding in a semi-realistic way, so putting a tiny probe on top of a giant Atlas V, or a 20-ton payload on a Saturn V, or anything with 5s in it, basically. But yeah, propelling ourselves quite nicely to orbit now, just passing over the other continent, just drop out and nuke them. I mean, go to the other planet. So yeah, and now we'll just skip ahead to, I spent a little while planning and messing up a little bit in the stream, but I got this encounter that I totally planned. MechJeb totally didn't do it for me. Yeah, I did indeed use the MechJeb maneuver planner, because usually when I'm planning to go somewhere, I use KSP.OLEX.biz, and it gives me all the all the angles and stuff, and I can plan it myself, and I enjoy that, but that doesn't incorporate Sarnus. And I'm sure if I thought about it, I could probably work out what angle it should be at, but I was streaming, I just wanted to use MechDev to get the encounter, it does it quite well, and, you know, it's the same. Although I didn't plan it, I didn't plan it to go to a planet, I don't know, I'm terrible. But anyway, it's just a matter of very slowly rotating this, because it has a tiny reaction wheel in the probe and nothing else. It is one of those very foolishly built vehicles that doesn't actually have a self-controlling launch vehicle. It just controls it through the probe. With heavier, wobblier payloads, I like to make the launch vehicle control itself, so it has its own probe and things, because then it can be very stable, and then who cares what's going on with the payload, because its mass is relatively negligible compared to the vehicle. More like, I guess, actually not so much in KSP. In the real world, about 3% of the mass of a rocket's a payload, so that's actually not that bad when you actually think about it. Anyway, time to ignite our engines on this on our first stage, and probably leave this in orbit of Kerbal to hit someone flying their little spacecraft around. And yeah, that actually burned for much longer than I thought it would. That last sliver of fuel does pretty well, and those ullage motors pulling that away quite fast. And separating the fairings, you can just about not really see the probe because we're in the dark because we're going prograde. Those ullage motors, incidentally, that's not what a ullage motor is for. Ullage motors aren't actually for pulling stages away, they're actually for pushing your stage forward so that all the fuel is pulled to the bottom of the tank so that it can actually be fed into the engine, because when there's no, well, not no gravity, but when you have no down, basically in the relative space of your spacecraft, it's not going to fall into your engine, is it? You have to push it there. I do try not to say when there's no gravity, because there's a lot of gravity. It's actually pretty much the same as everywhere else you would go on Earth. It's just the matter of you're falling, and so is your fuel at the same rate. So it doesn't have a down because you're both going towards the same down, if that makes any sense, because both of you are not stationary. I don't know, it's quite not hard to explain, but hard for someone as foolish as me. Anyway, now we are on our way to Sarnus, using our second stage. The second stage does do very well, actually. And a little while later, I've planned myself a little plane change. I did that all by myself, because I'm a big boy and I can plan my own orbital maneuvers. But yeah, we're going to get very close. It is quite a hefty burn, but I have a ton of fuel, and there's fuel on the probe as well, quite nicely. So yeah, we're going to be able to fling ourselves down to quite near Sarnus, near the rings. We'll get a really good glimpse of it. Well, not a glimpse, we'll take a good long stare. Stare Sarnus in the rings, and then fly onto one of its moons. And I believe Sarnus, if I am correct, Sarnus is the planet that has a moon, which has its own moon, which is awesome. Incidentally, in this mod, Eeloo is no longer its own planet. It's even worse than Pluto. It's been demoted to a moon of another planet. But anyway, now I've laid in the course, we have to do a just ridiculous amount of drifting through space. At maximum time accelerate, I was drifting for a very long time. I just left these little parts to illustrate how freaking long I've been drifting. I know it looks like I'm not going to get the encounter, but I am, so don't worry about it. That's just KSP being a little confused as to what's going on, which I guess is fine, because figuring out stuff is difficult, and that's actually, it is. Anyway, about here, we're just got into the sphere of influence of Sarnus, and if you look very carefully, you might be able to see a speck of it, but, well, actually probably not now, because this is 720p, I can't see it, but that's even more downscaled on my post-production screen, so maybe you can see it. I think it's that glinty bit, yeah. I think you can see it glint a little more than the stuff in the skybox, so yeah, if you look real hard, you'll be able to see it. But anyway, let's drift down towards it, and watch it shoot into view. I think my spacecraft is covering it right now. Drop a little closer. Can we see it? Is it anywhere about? I can't tell. I don't remember. This was quite a long time ago. There it is! You can see its rings. It's pretty distinct. And we're falling towards it rather fast. And oh, hey Sarnus. How you doing? And we're actually going to fly just below Tecto, one of the planets I do want to go to since it has an atmosphere. But yeah, we'll just do obviously our retrograde maneuver there. Fairly standard. I'm going to leave it fairly elliptical so that I have quite a lot of choice of where I want to go, although I do actually want to go to Slate. I said that in my video where I was talking about outer planets. So I thought I might as well go there and be like, yeah, I don't just say things, I do things. So yeah, that's all that laid in. Although I will have to do a bit of a plane change, but for now it's pretty good. And if we, if you look to your right, you will. Oh, you actually won't see it now. I guess we'll have to drift in a little more. But Sarnus does look quite beautiful from here, even though the colours aren't properly loaded in that much. Although it's not super colourful, but it is quite a nice colour, and the rings are quite beautiful. And yeah, there's Tecto. So yeah, if you look to your right, you will see Tecto. Look at that! Look, it's so close to it. Oh my god! That the mouseness is me freaking out in the stream, being like, oh my god! So yeah, that was that was my day. And then after totally not buzzing past it at way too much time accelerate, we're gonna do our burn. Oh, and now I'm freaking out again. So if you have epilepsy, you're probably dead. So sorry, should have warned you. No, it wasn't that flashy, but yeah, I do a lot of freaking out because this was the first time I'd actually been to it. It was crazy, and you can see the probe very well now. You haven't actually been able to see it that well up until now, but yeah, we are here now. So so that's quite nice, and you can see the rings are all beautiful, and there's a bit of a gradient in its coloring, and it does look quite nice. Yeah, I'm gonna just bring our Apo-san, I guess, our Aponus. Our apoapses around Sarnus down to roughly the orbit of Slate. And then just a big old plane change, and then a big old let's go to Slate, take a look at it. Not going to land, because this is just an orbital thing. And this is, well, much further than any of you have ever been before. No, much further than you can go in the stock game, so it has taken a little more fuel. Although orbiting around Sarnus is quite easy, because it's quite a high gravity planet, because it's, you know, a gas giant. It is quite nice having more gas giants in the game. There was talk about adding them for a while. I think that might still be a thing in the stock game, which would be quite cool. And there was actually talk of putting Elu in orbit around one of them. And I believe you can actually see Elu on this. It's the second planet. Oh no, I guess the third moon out from Sarnus. The one in from Slate, the one I've targeted, that's actually Elu. So I didn't bother going there since I've been there a great deal of times. Although that would be a bit of a slap in the face. Like, we're going to a new planet, where, Elu? And they're like, oh, we've all been to Elu. I've been to Elu many a time. But yeah, just a lot of drifting through space now and looking at Sarnus, and probably should have flown through its rings. I might do that at some point, although they're actually not, because they're like 2D. It's not mad impressive, but still, they do look quite interesting. And there's actually a very little bit of rock inside one of them you can actually land on. There's a very small moon. You can actually see it. It's actually inside the rings, yeah. And you can land on it and be in the rings and be like, oh my god! But yeah, I'd like to do a lot of things with this. I might turn it, I'm not sure if I'm going to just do this as a little mini-series of editing my streams, or actually turn it into a proper series where I come and put bases here and stuff. And I haven't gone too crazy with mods, so I imagine it would be pretty stable. Because that's the reason most of my series go away, like Solar Civilization and New World were just so modded that they end up just kind of breaking, and that's a shame because I always have quite big plans. But maybe I could come here and just do lots of missions. I've actually already got a spacecraft in space right now that could go here that I could do in a stream, and then put this up in a few episodes. But yeah, I think this could be quite an interesting series. Maybe a mini series, as I've said, or maybe just a full-on big old series. But anyway, we'll just plane change, and I think I've got to go around the planet a few times and just figure it all out. But I thought I'd leave this in because it's actually quite interesting to see how you do this sort of maneuver, because when there's so many moons, it's actually pretty easy to get encounters with some stuff. But I'm just going to pull myself away from the inner moons, or apparently not. Oh, well, there we go. I was going to pull myself away from the inner moons so that I could so that I would avoid them, but it turns out I won't actually hit anything, and I can get the encounter in one maneuver, which is pretty good, and I have tons of fuel, so it's not super crazy. It doesn't really matter. I don't know why I was zooming out there. Yeah, I guess I was just talking about something while I was streaming this. But then just a matter of just changing it, tweaking it a little bit, getting as close as possible, although I can do maneuvers later, so it's just, but it is more efficient from here. I could slam into it, but I don't really have enough thrust on the probe. I've brought a ant engine because I like the ant engine, and they've actually made it a logical engine now, because it used to be completely pointless because you just use the 20 kilonewton Rocket Max, which was way more efficient, had way more thrust, was just way more useful. But now, because they've rebalanced things, it actually makes sense to use the Ant engine, which I like, because I really like small engines. They're just, I don't know, I just like proportionally, properly sized engines that make sense. So yeah, the game has changed so much from when I started playing. Well, I mean, it's changed a lot in the last update. They changed the engines to be more realistic, the aerodynamics to be more realistic, added fairings. Whereas, yeah, when I started playing, it was quite a different game. No career, no nothing like that. Just flying around, just having sandbox craziness. Talking of sandbox craziness, Macy Dean uploaded a video a few days ago, and that's awesome, and it looks awesome, and just thought I'd take a little moment to mention how epically amazing that will be. Because if you don't know Macy Dean, he's one of the best KSP YouTubers who went away for a while for reasons unknown. Well, that's his business, not our business. But he's back and he does awesome stock battle stuff, much like my Kerbal Wars things. But much, much better than my Kerbal Wars things, which will probably be coming to an end soon. I haven't really decided what I'm going to do with that, but I wouldn't worry about it because Macy Dean's back, so you don't have to worry. So yeah, he does awesome things. So if you don't know of him, which is entirely possible given that he's been away for a long time, you should definitely check him out. He does awesome things. But anyway, back to this video, rather than just plugging a YouTuber who is much, much bigger than me. Yeah, looks like we've got our encounter. That's good. Just a lot of jittering around. It's not... You do run out of things to say when you're just floating through space and you don't have a Twitch chat to talk to. I guess I could just be like, Xbox on! And I hope that some of you have an Xbox One and it just turned on and you're all like, Peter! Oh my god! Although it's Xbox, so it won't have turned on. Xbox on! I'm just gonna keep trying until your Xbox turns on. Just Xbox on! Someone's like, oh my god. Xbox snap! Xbox search! Beep! I have to beep that. You could really mess with people like that. I've never really thought of that. You could just... Anyway. Oh, look how cool Sarnus looks. Let's stop trying to mess with your Xboxes and peek out my mic. I said that quite loud. But yeah, we're right underneath the rings now, and it's just... And you can see Slate in the distance. It's just... I love this. I love planets with rings. And oh, look, our encounter magically popped back, which is nice because I kind of want that to be a thing. I think I'm going to have quite a lot of fuel left over in this probe, though, so I can maybe go to another planet at some point if I feel like it, or come and just, like, make it go rogue and, like, ram one of my ships I send here. It's like the rogue spaceship. And it is powered, I think, entirely by one RTG, because I didn't want to go overpowered with it, and out here, not a lot of sunlight you can use. I mean, solar panels would probably still work, but they'd be so ineffective. They would provide very little power at this point. You can see how small and dim it is. Not providing a ton of illumination. I mean, we are behind like a lot of planets, but you can see the tiny bit of light you can see on the spacecraft is a bit nothing. I'll probably brighten this so you can see a little better, because a lot of this video has been in the dark. But yeah, we're gonna get ourselves circled around Slate. We can take a look at Slate, and we'll go around to the light side and take a nice little look at a few things, just see what's going on with Slate. Yeah, but I think my this stage is finally about to burn out. Pretty good launch vehicle that it got me this far on just the launch vehicle. But that's the thing about KSP, is KSP is much smaller. It's much easier to do this sort of thing, and I did build a very big launch vehicle. I mean, it was like a 3.5 meter first stage, which looked much smaller because compared to most of the KW parts, it's actually pretty tiny. And yeah, it's finally burned out. We finally actually need to use just fire a decoupler at it, but we're finally down to our probe, which is illuminated nicely by MechJeb. It does have a couple of radiators on it, if you can see. Lots of scientific equipment. Oh no, it's actually illuminated by the batteries, I believe. Oh no, MechJeb and the batteries. Okay. Yeah, you can see these radiators on it. You can see it a little bit. One RTG in there, lots of metal, and we can take a few reports. I should have maybe done this on the light side, but yeah, you can see it's cold. Although when we actually turn it on, it appears to be quite warm until I realize that it actually measures in Kelvin. So it's, I think, like 100 Kelvin. I can't really see it from here, but it's something like 100 and something Kelvin, which is what, if it was 100, that would be minus 173 centigrade, which is, I don't know Fahrenheit, that's dumb, stop using Fahrenheit. And then, what's this, the Gravmax? Yeah, get a little Gravmax report. I think they're all quite generic here. And there's some gravity. It's actually quite a big, quite a big moon. I think it's probably relatively close to Tylo, from what I remember. And then this nice little surface scanner that actually tells you what biome you're over. No idea, didn't actually know that before. Haven't really looked at a lot of the new parts. It's another thing I want to do the series for, is just look at the new parts and play some of the new game, because I haven't played a lot of career or just doing like exploration in a long time, and I've kind of missed it a little bit. I've just been doing a lot of war stuff, and I've got a couple of war series, but I think I'd like to, get back to exploring, do good things, teach you about peace and space, not violence and killing Agonarch, you bastard. Yeah, he blew up my turret. Gonna shoot him in the face. But he made it up to me by owing me lots of money on Elite Dangerous, so it's fine. Still gonna shoot his Kerbal, but I won't have to fly to New Zealand now, which is good. So, for God's sake! Yeah, I take collaborative warfare very seriously. Anywho, look how cool Slate is! Finally, the money shot. Look how goddamn pretty Slate is. Look at that massive mountain range. I want to go there. I'm probably going to go to Slate at some point. It's just, that mountain range looks so cool. I want to put a house there. And probably not solar powered, because, and that crater, it's just one of my favourite looking planets. Moons, even. I think it's probably one of my favourite looking celestial bodies. I mean, I know there's a lot of beautiful things in Kerbal Space Program, and especially in the Outer Planets mod, but goddamn, I gotta at least send a rover. Looking at this again just makes me want to just send all the rovers to Slate. So, you can join me in the next episode, where I will be going to Tecto instead of Slate, which has an atmosphere and things, and we're going to land and look at stuff, and it'll be awesome. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you're going to just keep watching all this, because I really like doing this sort of stuff, and I will see you next time.